All righty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody had a lovely day. And with that being said, let's dive into the TA. All right, guys, so the market did a whole lot of absolutely nothing today. We stayed inside of yesterday's range. I'm going to do my best to make this a short video. We are at a point in the market where we should just be sitting on our hands. All right, you made your money on that move up over here. The name of the game right now is to not give it back in the consolidation. We are doing a whole lot of nothing. We pointed out that we could very well be getting a pullback. All right, and we thought that pullback was going to bring in the next wave of buyers, the next big, the next wave of opportunities really for us. And I'm telling you right now, we got a whole lot of nothing today. We did get a pullback. We did start the day off with a sell, but I'll tell you, that's not what I had in mind. All right, we didn't get any sort of big breakdown over here. Buyers are still in control. They're still buying up every single little dip. And I'm telling you right now, we're either going to continue this short squeeze, the very slow short squeeze that we have going on here, where every single little dip is getting bought, and then you have that slow grind up into new highs, or we are going to be actually getting the pullback we were talking about here, and that is going to bring in the next wave of buyers. But right now, guys, market participants are at a standstill, so we should be at a standstill. You should not be forcing a bunch of trades. You have no business doing so. You don't. I gave you some setups to focus on for the time being. Some of them are playing out, all right, and a lot of them are just going to be cooling off. I'm telling you, we want to see that next, little sell here to happen. We want to come back into this area, 605, 610, to bring the next wave of buyers into the equation here. And it's just so far not what we have. I do think it'd be very odd to not take out 619.22, yesterday's high. So tomorrow, I'm telling you, we're gonna very likely be breaking out of this range. Top of the range is 619.22. Low of the range is 615.04. Underneath 615.04 brings 613.23. If we cannot hold the previous all-time high at 613.23, we're talking 610.78, 609.07, and the big breakout level right over here at 605.06, which I don't think we're gonna come all the way back down here. I also don't think it would look the best to come all the way back down here. And then on the upside, above 619.22, we're talking 620, we're talking 625. But again, if we take that route, it's just going to continue this slow short squeeze. So I really wouldn't be expecting all that much. Don't expect things to, massively change here until we get the pullback, and then it brings the next wave of buyers into the next, and then we can speed up price action quite a bit. But for the last few trading sessions here, at least today and yesterday, we got a whole lot of nothing. The day before that, it was pretty slow action. Then boom, you had a quick sell, and what happened overnight? You end up getting bought up. And this is, that slow short squeeze action we were just talking about, where every little dip is just seeming to get bought up. And, we can have some violent moves, but I don't think we're going to have many violent moves up here until we have something that changes things, which would be the sell. All right, so that is SPY. Coming over here to QQQ. All right, the levels we're going to be paying attention to here, we have 546.67. That's a level that's giving you some reactions there. All right, so on the downside, we have 546.67, 544.54, and then 540.81 is going to be the big one. We want to be holding there, but it's not the worst case scenario to come down to 536.78. That is where you broke out from over here. But if you do visit down here, I'm just going to say this is going to act as a magnet, and we're probably going to fill it, which is going to take out the 21 EMA, and then all of a sudden, things do not get bought up right away. They just don't. All right, and then all of a sudden, you're going to have this to work around. I don't know exactly how it'd go. You would not want to take out that low if you're going to fill the gap. You would not. If you do, that would signify you're probably getting a prolonged, little consolidation period or, downturn there before heading back up to highs. But yeah, I mean, ideally we would just come down to 540.81 and then we get bought up from there, and that is, where buyers step in and take us back through 552.80. Now, let's just say we don't move down and we're moving to the upside, guys. You're just going to be watching today's high, 550.71. Above there, it's very likely that we will test 552.80, make a new high. From there, you're watching 553, of course, is right there. Next big cycle level is going to be 555. Okay. VIX, you ended up actually closing out green over here. All right. You were up a bit more at the start of the day there. You faded. Honestly, to me, guys, this looks like it wants to come back down and take out a low. Right, you did already sweep the 1623 low there, so that has served its purpose. Now we're watching 1611, so that is where we are likely going to be crushing under over the coming sessions. But you know, if we are to start that bigger sell here, VIX is going to get through 1880, all right, and it's going to at least test that 200 DMA 1965. But I would imagine if we get what I just described, VIX is going to get a little more action than than that. So it's probably going to get a larger spike. Now, I personally don't think we get a larger spike, which makes me believe the probable scenario right now, I hate to say, is that short squeeze just continuing. We barely get any pullbacks to reset, you know, setups for us, you know, the individual tickers we follow. We probably won't be getting much of a pullback. I think we'll probably just continue consolidating for the coming trading sessions in this low range. I will say it's very odd to see this small weekly candle here. We still only have 0.65, 0.7% range. You can just look back. That is extremely uncommon. So I think we're going to be breaking it up or break it down. My bias says up. With everything I'm putting together here, my bias says we're probably going to be breaking it up this week. That means a move above 619.22. Maybe we're hitting 625 this week. But we don't have to get all the way up there. That would just make sense. And then from there, I would expect we probably are going to sell next week. And, you know, we at least get something like this where we will pull back for, you know, the next 2-3 weeks before making new highs. Or it's just something like this that gets bought up. But again, 1 week, 2 week, 3 weeks before making new highs. So honestly, that's how things are shaping up for me. I think we're still probably going to continue a bit higher there. Get that sell I just talked about around the corner. Because, you know, until we get it, guys, it is going to be that slow. You know, it's going to be slow price action. We're going to have that slow short squeeze going on. And, you know, how VIX is shaping up here on the daily and weekly time frame suggests to me we're probably going to be breaking down before we really break up. I don't think we're going to do all this crap and break out of the range. You know, that is 3 tests of the lower bound of it. We're probably going to start breaking down from it. And this starts making way all the way down to 15. All right, so that is the VIX. Those are the indices. Let's just go over the Mag 7 stocks real quick. If you're going to focus on anything on the long side right now, I think Amazon is the stock to do so. GOOG and Amazon, those are the things that aren't looking terrible. I would say Amazon, I think, is the one that's standing out to me going into tomorrow. You know, above 221.88. I think we get a straight shot up to 223.72 from today's close. That's honestly only 1.5% away. We've seen larger moves come, you know, almost every single day. We get that over, you know, 1% move there. I think it's probable that we make our way up there. All right, so on the upside, above 221.88, today's high, we're talking 223.72, and then we have 225.86. And this is really where I'm targeting over here for this rally. But, you know, as far as the weekly chart goes, it would make the most sense to me to not have this be a red week. If it's a red week, it's probably not just going to pop back up next week. It probably will continue consolidating or pulling back the following week, next week. So, you know, most probable scenario to me is to see this thing all turn into one large lower wick here, and we end up closing out the week, you know, 228, 230. That is something I very clearly can see here. And, you know, judging by how the daily chart is shaping up here, judging, you know, coming over to the 4 hour, it's really not looking all too bad. If you do take out this area, though, and you come back down and you take out 218, that's not looking good at that point. We're getting the scenario I just talked about where, you know, this week and next week, we're consolidating or pulling back, which, again, doesn't make sense to me, okay? You literally got one big pop, boom, you consolidate for 3 whole weeks. One big pop, boom, consolidate for 2 weeks. Following week, you break up. Are we really about to consolidate again for 2 weeks? I don't think it's probable. I think they're finally going to give us, you know, one big go here, and maybe we get 228, 230 this week. We'll see. All right, coming over the next one that's catching my eye. You know, I'm just going to say over here, you got this break and retest going on. Ideally, you do get bought up. It's same situation as Amazon. Ideally, this thing does get bought up, and, you know, we close out the week higher than where, you know, current high of the week is, up at 181.58. Daily chart, You can see over here, buyers are stepping in where they have to hold. I don't really like the look of this all that much. I like how Amazon is set up over GOOG over here. But, you know, nonetheless, you do have buyers stepping in right where, you know, we were saying to watch, right where the 200 DMA is, and you have the daily 21 sitting right below. That is ideal. Okay, if you see the start coming under 172.91, then you know the move is, you're probably coming back down here. All right, the bullish move is over here. And, you know, I hope you made money on the way up. Okay, you made money, you had a chance to sell there, you had a chance to sell there. All right, good money to be made. I hope you took it off. And maybe you want to take your stab at it now. I would do so with lesser size because of the uncertainty that I just went over on the indices there. All right, I still think we're more likely to have that slow short squeeze scenario continue playing out there. But I completely welcome a dip so we can have a return to the faster price action, not stuff that moves absolutely flat all day like SPY today and yesterday. All right, but that is good, guys. It's looking good. This is your base. This is your breakout retest. Let's see if it holds. Let's see if you pivot up off of it next week as well. But, you know, if you close out the week red over here, I assume it's going to be something like that. You know, you're probably not going to be moving up just right away next week. You're probably, you know, hitting it with the 1-2 over here, right? Or you had that. Well, what happened next week? You consolidated, all right, over here. All right, you closed here. You did come lower next week, so you got a, you know, better entry over there. Regardless, don't expect to just move right away. If you do close out the week like that, next week we probably are going to be making, you know, you probably will get a better long entry if that becomes the case. All right, but on the upside, 178.13, above there, 183.63. Nvidia retesting previous all-time highs here. I have to assume this dip is going to be bought. You know, you just had a very explosive move up. I think it would look pretty bad if you just came and took out last week's low over here at 142.03. So I think you're likely to be bought up over here. Maybe you spend 1 to 2 weeks consolidating, but I do think it's a dip that will be bought. On the downside, you have 153.13, 148.97, and then 145. Apple started moving yesterday, continued moving today, and you rejected so far the one level that we need to see a break over. All right, 209.48. We want to see a break over here. This is where you have the weekly 21. This is where all this consolidation is about to come to an end, and we are about to actually start a nice move over here in Apple. Above 209.48, we have 214.56, and then 219.38. Meta. All right, honestly, guys, you close out the week red like this. Notice how all of these straight green bars, okay, the second you put in a red week, you start either pulling back or you consolidate. Okay, this weekly candle looks nothing like that. I think it would be pretty concerning to break up from this this range. You know, you didn't have a big move. All right, let's be completely real about it. You had a 40-point move. The range itself was a 31-point range. So it makes sense. You know, you got the measure move of the range. Congrats if you made money with us on the way up. But, you know, me personally, I'm not too eager to just jump back into this thing. I don't think I will be doing so until post earnings. And we'll see if we get a setup there. If you close out the week like this or lower, all right, if you just have this red week, I assume you're probably going to be at least consolidating, building out something like this until earnings. You're probably not going anywhere. You're not going to be missing much. So, you know, no reason to really FOMO back into the market if you took your profits, okay? Now you're seeing it. You're like, Henry told us there's going to be a pullback coming. It's time to buy the pullback. I'm telling you right now, I really don't think it's the best idea. I'm not saying to not buy pullbacks, you know, on the tickers you like, on the setups you like. But you know, as far as Meta goes, you know, Meta, Amazon, Google, the only one I'm really, you know, dipping my feet back into / in, it's going to be Amazon. And yeah, I mean, Meta is something that I just don't think this thing's going to rocket ship from here if you have a bearish close. I just don't. And so far, it's just not looking like something you just want to be blindly buying into. It's looking like something that can bring some consolidation. And that's something to keep in mind if you're feeling that FOMO. All right, Microsoft, guys, started breaking under 493.03 today. Next stop is going to be 487.75. Underneath there, 480.42. That's going to be right at the daily 21. Tesla over here, guys. Found buyers in the golden pocket. And you really should have no business long in this thing. Nobody really has any business doing it. You know, this guy wants to constantly fight with the president of the United States. Yeah, all right. Nobody's gonna think that's good for the company. Okay. Yes, you got heavy volume on the day. Yes, you got bought up right off the, you know, in the golden pocket here, right off of a breakout level right over there, 294.86. But in reality, this thing is something that probably would come up here and then slowly fade, and then boom, you end up making a new low. Or it's just going to continue dropping. I really have absolutely no idea, but it's not something that I'd be touching long or short. If you want to short the beast over here, you can. But it's not something that makes sense to me. All right, so that's what I have for you guys today. I will just point out MSTR over here, guys. It was a fluke. All right, you had a false breakout yesterday, and you know, honestly, this thing gets you know, dead cat bounce. I would just be taking the exit on the dead cat bounce. I don't think it's worth, you know, looking for an outsized move over here. Yes, the thing is heavily oversold. All right, you know, 15-minute RSI, triple bullish divergence, 1 hour RSI is oversold there. But in reality, this thing ended up taking out these lows that were made. All right, carefully carved out lows over here, 3-hole trading session. You just slashed right underneath them. You know, that's not a good look. If you get a dead cat bounce overnight up to 380, 385, I think it's probably something that will be sold. All right, I don't really know why it's getting this little, you know, nice upside action here in the after hours, but I'll tell you right now, I just wouldn't be all too confident, you know, buying the dip down here. All right, the thesis failed, so there is that. It could have been the next big ripper. You know, congrats if you made money on that day. But you know, real talk, this thing kind of just shat the bed over here, and unless you fully recover this, like, let's look at it this way. If you print the red week, notice how all of these is same concept as meta right over there. You know, all of them, you just got straight green weeks. The second you print the red week there, it tells you the thing's not trended right now. All right, like, you know, all of these, you got the red one. Well, you start having this slow back and forth price action for the next 3 weeks. All right, you know, on all these moves, like, you can see what I see. All right, like, we didn't break out of the range. We swept the high and we pulled right back. Not to the bottom of the range yet, but, you know, come back to 360. Yeah, honestly, I don't know if it's going to be bought. But yeah, I mean, I just wouldn't be blindly buying in there. I'm just letting you guys know. As far as, you know, hot setups right now, PayPal doesn't seem to care about what the market is doing. Uber doesn't seem to care about what the market is doing. Started catching a little bit into the close over here today. I think this is something that if it doesn't make new highs this week, it happens next week above 94.38. All right, coming over here to Walmart. This is one that we're going to keep our eyes on above 99.5, guys. This thing is going to start making this move up to new all-time highs. Probably happens, you know, over a 1 to 2 week period once 99.5 is taken out. All right, MCD, congrats if anybody ended up taking this. I pointed this out in the weekly update there. This is something that, yeah, I mean, very, very defined trade idea. I actually did not take it. I was salty I did not. It would have been the easiest 150% today on July 18 contracts, like I pointed out there. But, you know, 5 out of 5 times over the last 3 years, when you got the daily RSI again down to where it was not too long ago, you ended up seeing at least a 5.6% bounce on these 2 occasions. And on the other 3 occasions, you went higher. I'm just letting you guys know the trade idea I outlined for you guys, it's been played out. It doesn't mean it's not going to go higher, but I wouldn't be just blindly trying too long into the 200 DMA and also where my targets were. You know, the whole trade idea has now played out. This was the exact move you were looking for. This is where you would be selling. You're coming into supply up here very clearly. I would not just be blindly longing into it, but congrats if you did end up making money on that. Carvana is one that I think is pretty obvious. It wants to make it back up to these highs. Probably is going to happen by next week. That's what I'm going to be watching. And yeah, I mean, other than that, ANF, you know, started popping today. Other than that, yeah, we're chilling. Okay, you're just sitting on your hands. You could watch some of these hot stocks that just pointed out. You could trade them, but just realize the market environment, I still think it's either going to continue being slow there, or you're going to get that actual drop there, and it's going to shock people. But in reality, we've just been calling for it, and, you know, we want that to take advantage of it. And that's also the thing that's going to, you know, make price action fast again and stop being this. where you do absolutely nothing all day with the back and forth. All day, you just have these little minor stair steps up, boom, 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 oh, boom, stair step down. All right, like absolutely nothing all day. So we have an inside day going on. It's not ever a good idea to trade the previous, if it's an inside day, if you're still in the previous range, it's not a good idea to trade it. That's where the traps are. That's where you get the slow price action. That's where, you're just not going to get follow through. Once you get out of there, that's when you can get follow through. All right, so be on the lookout for that. All right, guys, that's what I have for you guys today. If you want to come trade with me, I will be live every morning. I am an options swing trader. Yeah, that link will be down below. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Just please remember to leave a like. Just help me out. It would help me out, help the channel out greatly. It's the only thing that really pushes it out to more people is you guys. You guys are the growth of the channel. So I appreciate you guys, and I will catch y'all in the next one. Peace.